Good evening and welcome to Tok Piksa. In the studio tonight, we are happy to have again with us President of the PNG Tribal Foundation, Gary Bustin, and Director of Operations, Michelle Hau'ofa. Welcome, Gary. Welcome, Michelle.
Thank you, Neville.
And it's been a busy couple of months for the PNG Tribal Foundation. You were here before the Pacific Games, and we had a long chat about a couple of things that have kept you busy during that time. What's been happening?
We've been working on so many projects. You know, success begets success. And we've been finding more and more great partners to do projects that make a difference in Papua New Guinea. So it's been very busy.
And there's been a film that we were discussing, and there's been a lot of work regarding containers, shipping containers with medical supplies.
That's correct. Well, we're very excited about the film. We've worked for almost a year and a half now on the film, Senisim Pasin, and it's going to be launching on December 9th. And so we've put a lot of work in it. There's been a number of partners. EMTV is a partner on it. We've had our team in Hollywood, the filmmakers, Global Virtual Studios, and then we've had PRFA, which has been a partner of that, and then Governor of Enga Province and Governor of Eastern Highlands Province. And so many people have helped. It's a collaborative effort, and it's a film for Papua New Guinea, all in Tok Pidgin. We say a grassroots style, but Hollywood quality.
That's a good way to put it. And Michelle, you've had a direct hand in the production of this film?
Yes, I'm a producer on the documentary. And as Gary said, last year we travelled for over a month throughout our country, covered the 4 regions, and just finding out and telling the stories about people, survivors of violence, people who are doing amazing work on the ground to lift the profile of women and show the value that women bring to communities. We talk to leaders as well as, so government leaders as well as community leaders. And I think some of our most powerful testimonies come from perpetrators of violence who have turned around, who've changed their ways and are now advocates for nonviolence. So a powerful experience for us on the team who traveled around the country, life-changing. And you know, we're very proud that it's not just the dark stories that we tell. You know, that's, as we say, it's a really important part of the process to make sure the stories are told. But we do more than that. You know, we've taken the conversation one step further, and we said, what are we doing about it? There's amazing work already being done. Let's highlight that. Let's highlight the value that women bring to society, and then think about how we as a community can work together to stem this tide. So it's you know, it's not about pointing fingers. It's not about saying, you know, it's your fault and it's because of you that this is happening. Because as we say, once you start pointing fingers, you've effectively isolated that demographic. And it's very hard to change people's ways when, you know, you're accusatory and negative about it. But we're saying, you know, come along with us. We want to develop our nation. We want to see a better life for our women and our children and our men. And this is some of the ways that we can do it. So we're very proud of our film. We're proud of the journey that we've all taken. And we think it's really going to change the tide of violence that we're seeing more and more.
Okay. And Gary, there's an interactive aspect to this film. So after it launches, there's a way for people to actually get involved in being the change.
Yes, that's true. So we're planning on showings all over the country. People are constantly asking us, well, how can I see the film? Well, it's not just a film where we put it out and you watch it and you're done. No, we went for maximum impact. So there's a campaign called Senisim Pasin that's around the film. So when we show it in a village, the documentary is 43 minutes long, and then there is teaching communication tools for men and women that have been developed by top experts in the United States as well as Papua New Guinea, who have worked together collaboratively to develop these communication tools. So what do you do when someone comes home drunk and they're angry, and you know, those kind of things? And so that's a part of the showing experience. And then there's a 2-minute call to action, which is a short film that we shot up in Eastern Highlands Province with Round Round Theater and Pacific Helicopters. And it was like Hollywood come to Goroka. And it was pretty exciting. So that 2-minute film is very powerful. It's the only part that's acted out in the whole series. But then there's a call to action. And people who want to be a part of the change, they get to sign a pledge, and they get their own copy of the communication tools. And then they get one of these bracelets. It's a Senisim Pasin bracelet that they get to wear and say, I am part of the change. So it's going to be, this is the icon of the campaign, which will be seen nationally.
You say maximum impact. Is there a level of impact that you're hoping to reach?
Yes, there definitely is. And there's something that's important to understand is there is the emotional appeal of the film and the campaign, but we're also forming a tribal legal council, which is attorneys who are going to be going after the high-profile cases where women are being abused and putting the perpetrators in prison based on existing laws, the Family Protection Act and the existing laws in PNG. And then the media is going to tell their stories so that people see, look, if you do this to women, you are going to go to prison. And so it accelerates the process. And so already yesterday, we had a meeting with Governor Ipitas, and there was a case recently in Enga province, a video that went around Facebook of these women being tortured for sorcery killings. And Governor Ipitas, being the action governor that he is, ordered his PPC to go and arrest those people and put them in prison. So we're already starting that process. Leaders have to stand up and say, no, not in my province. We are not going to have this type of activity because it's bad for the country, it's bad for the communities, it's bad for the family. And I talked to a guy in Enga province just last week, and I was out in a rural area. We're doing a health assessment, and I was standing outside the clinic, and we were talking about this, and he said, oh, mipla kuki wanbla Mary lohia last week. And I said to him, why? And he said, em wokim sangamala man blem, so mipla sabe osem em wokim na mipla kukim. Na mi tok how na you sabe? Na em tok no em osem mipla harim tasol. Na mi tok em good pla something. Na em tok yeah, em good pla because mipla rausim lo community. Na mi tok na suppose so all shutim sangamal tok lo you all by make one em tok by all kukim me. Na mi tok na em by good pla. Na em tok no em by nogat. So I said, where did you get this? You know, and he said, oh, it's coming from other provinces. We're learning about it, and we're trying. So we have to, it's like a virus that's spreading. And what we found from our filming and our interviews, we actually have a very powerful story about this inside the film, is that it's generally someone that's weak in the community. It's generally someone wanting their property or vengeance against them, and so they're using this as a way to get the community against that person. But it's not only the person; it's their family, the stigma, all of that, and there are laws in place. And it only doesn't affect just here in Papua New Guinea. These things are going out on social media around the world. And Tribal Foundation does a lot of representing Papua New Guinea outside of Papua New Guinea. But what we're hearing is, oh, well, we would love to come and help, but we see these videos of what they're doing to women, and we're afraid to go. So these people are shaming us. And you know how important shame is in this culture. They're shaming us in our country and around the world, and it has to end.
There's a level of ignorance and a level of acceptance that's very frightening here. If people are just accepting it without even having any proof to it.
That's correct, Neville, and that's one of the things that we need to stop. It's that culture of impunity where people think that they can behave like this, and it's gone beyond violence. You know, you're talking torture here. So it's something, it's at a level that we really haven't seen before. So you asked about what kind of the level of reach that we've got. I think one of the most commanding features of our film, and one of the most powerful tools that it has, is that it's all in Tok Piksa. With all the different languages that we have throughout our country, Tok Piksa is probably the most widely spoken. I think that's well accepted. And so that's the reason that the film is in Tok Piksa. We want to reach as wide an audience as possible. And that's why we're going through all the different provinces. We've budgeted for 4 mobile theatres per province, and of course that'll be adjusted according to population size. But this is a real passion of ours to reach our people. As Gary said, one of the interviewees in our movie is a survivor of sorcery violence, and she would have been burnt to death had she not escaped. And you know, escaping was a really lucky thing for her. And you know, it's a harrowing story of what she tells. As Gary said, she was vulnerable. All the people around her that she had was her aged mother and a 2-year-old daughter. Nobody to defend her. And I asked her, I said, so are you a Sangoma? And she was, you know, of course not. She said, they wanted my land. And I said to her, you know there are laws in place to protect you, and there are laws in place to prevent people from doing sorcery killings. And she looked at me blankly like, well, you know, how does that apply to me? Because they're so far away in these remote areas, it's very hard to police these laws. So these are the people that we want to reach. And as Gary rightly said, this doesn't belong to our culture, and we need to eradicate it straight away. So this is one part of the violence that we'd like to reach out to.
Okay.
I think it's important to note that our film comes across in a very positive way. We wanted the viewer at the end to say, what a beautiful country. We shot with a red camera. We made sure to get different scenes from the 4 regions of Papua New Guinea. You see the beauty of the people, you see the beauty of the land, and they're telling stories, and at the end of the film, you say, we're better than this. We can move past this as a nation, not just one group, but all of us together. So the film and the campaign, it doesn't belong to one group. It's for everyone, the government, the business community, the local individuals, the NGOs, the churches, everyone to be a part of in their different ways to change our mindsets together. So that one day we look back on history and say, this beautiful island of ours used to have this problem, but now we don't have that problem anymore because it's not accepted. People don't allow it. Because really, what our country is what we allow it to be. And we have to stop allowing it to be this, because we are better than that. This is a wonderful place. We don't need that kind of activity here.
And it's achievable?
It is achievable. It takes time. You know, I always say to turn a big ship, it takes a while, and but you start turning it, and it follows through. And so this is, you know, we don't expect we'll show the film and everything's going to be nice. But what we do expect is that people will talk about it, people will be involved. The campaign is designed to empower the local people on the ground who are working so that they're partners with this as well. And so that all of us together can change it. We believe it can change, or we've wasted money and time.
Mm. And there's different sectors of the community, within the community, local community itself, that has different opinions about what violence is, different opinions about what help there is out there for them. And I'm assuming this film captures all of that, or at least leads a path for them to find something that can help them.
Yes, Neville, and that's an important point that you brought out. I mean, we've talked to so many different people in the community doing whatever work they can in their areas. I spoke to a woman at Porgera, and I said to her, you know, some people think that this notion of human rights is a foreign concept. That, you know, when you come to Papua New Guinea, we're more communal orientated, and it's not so much the rights of the individual, but the rights, you know, the well-being of the community. And I asked her, what do you think of that? And this is a woman doing work, NGO work on the ground, using her own resources, and she emphatically stated, this is about my right as a woman and my children's rights to be able to walk freely in the streets, to be able to live a life that's safe and happy, and not have to worry about being abused or being our rights being violated. And I thought, you know, Neville, you and I can talk all we like in the big cities about human rights and why it's important. And we can talk theory till, you know, all day. But when you hear somebody that's working at community level, when she talks so passionately about her rights as a person to be safe and to be happy, then you sit up and you take notice. You know, this is coming from the hearts of the women on the ground, and we traveled the 4 regions. You know, it was eye-opening and not so much eye-opening, but to see the level of hardship that our people go through. You know, it takes hours and hours and hours to reach a health centre on roads that really don't exist anymore. But, you know, and to hear these pleas coming from our people, it was heartbreaking in reasons. You know, you see the beauty of our women, you see the beauty of our country, and you think we have to make this better, not for ourselves, but for our children and the generations to follow. And you know, this is our legacy that we want to leave behind.
Okay, now, containers of medical supplies. There's been a lot of work with that. Mm. We had a conversation about the containers arriving in PNG, and they have arrived. Mm. What were in the containers?
Medical supplies, and they're not just any medical supplies. They're medical supplies based on a prior assessment of the health facility, and finding out exactly what they need, and then having the local CEO of the hospital sign off on the list so that he's happy with what's on the container. And so just last week we delivered the first of 4 containers that had to do with the First Lady's Luncheon in Colorado. So that event is put on by Project Cure, which is a partner of ours. So we just had the president of Project Cure here in Papua New Guinea for the first time. He really, really enjoyed the country, and he enjoyed seeing one of their medical containers being delivered to Tari, and the excitement that was there in Hela province, and with the advancing PNG women's group and the different groups that were there to welcome them. And so every year, Project Cure in Denver has a First Ladies Luncheon. Now, a couple things about that. First of all, over here at luncheon, you know, we have a little bit of tea and a biscuit and maybe a sandwich. This is 1,800 to 2,000 people, leaders, having a very high-profile gathering, which is a lunch, and then they have the First Lady from a country around the world where they serve. So they work in 130 countries. And so I was sitting there a couple years ago, and it was one of the First Ladies from Africa. And I thought, oh, if we could get the First Lady from Papua New Guinea here, because we've worked with them for a number of years. I said that would be the best. Well, it turns out that ExxonMobil sponsored it, and it was the best First Ladies Luncheon they've ever had. So we were very proud. Michelle spoke, and Miss O'Neill spoke, and they just connected with the people, and the people gave generously, and it was a fundraiser for the medical containers, so 4 of them. So the first one went to Tari, the second one is going to Leh, and then the next one is going to Daru, and then the last one is going to here to Port Moresby. And we have other containers going other places with other partners, but these are the 4 specifically. And sometimes, I need to explain, sometimes people say, First Lady, who are you to give a title First Lady? And I think that they don't quite understand that it's not a title, and it's not us that's giving it. Around the world, the leader of a country's wife is generally just affectionately referred to as the First Lady. So that's why they call it the First Ladies Luncheon, and we use the title. So we don't feel like, you know, we're in a position, or Project Cure is in a position to give titles. It's just that it's known around the world as affectionately. But they call it the First Ladies Luncheon. So we were all up in Hela province, and it was exciting.
All right. And the recipients of the contents of the containers, what did they have to say about what they were receiving?
Dr. Hawali, who is the CEO at the Tari Hospital, is a great guy, and he was very excited about the supplies that they were getting for the people. So we walked through the wards. Miss O'Neill sat down with the patients and had conversations with them, and it was a beautiful thing to see. And you know, one of the focuses of the Tribal Foundation is rural areas. I grew up myself with all the astangats and learned how to make fire from bamboo and all of those things. It was the rural area, and it's a beautiful life, but health and education services are often lacking. And the Tribal Foundation works very hard to see about those rural areas, and so, you know, they were very happy about the container coming.
Okay. And is that the last of it?
As far as that goes, no. We're always developing long-term partnerships. Tribal Foundation is about building relationships, not a one-time thing. So our first time to Tari, although I'd been there as a child, but the first time as Tribal Foundation, and so we'll explore ways that we can help and support them. We never do parallel programs, but we try to find ways that are meaningful and impactful that we can support the local leaders on the ground.
As it happens, I was in West New Britain last week with a Project Cure assessor, Dr. Martina, and first of all, West New Britain is beautiful. Even in drought, it's such stunning country. So we were based in Kimbe. Our first day we travelled up to Talasia and visited a health centre called Bitokara. And then we went back to Kimbe and then went further down the highway to Buvusi, and then back to Kimbe Hospital. And then the next day we travelled all the way up to Biala and covered another 3 health centres there. But Neville, you know, you talk about the need in the rural areas. There's so much need, that's a fact. But the work that the health service providers do is just amazing. You know, with the very little they have so much passion to service the people. And you know, you're talking about a catchment sometimes of 10 or 20, 30,000 people. And the level of heart that these people show, the nurses in charge, to provide these services, it's just heartwarming. And anything that we can do to support their work, we're very happy to do it. And in this instance, Governor Sassi is doing wonderful work in his province, and we're very happy to come and partner with him and his provincial health authority to provide these services. And as Gary said, these assessments are very thorough. You know, you go through a whole list. Our assessor asks all kinds of questions to ensure that that they're providing the right things. So the needs list originates from the health facility themselves. And then, as Gary said, the list goes away, it comes back, it's signed off again, so we know that what's being sent is what's going to be used. And the joy that the people have when they realise that, you know, these things will come to them. Very heartwarming.
And we call it the Tribal Foundation because we work as a tribe with partners. We found out that we can do so much more together. For example, the container that went to Tari, it was Project Cure in the United States, ExxonMobil funding the event and the support, the Miss O'Neill going and speaking, and then when the container arrived, we partnered with Lay Rotary for the clearance, and then Ryback Stevedores for holding the container and moving it around, and then Jacob Luke from Mapai Transport. And he's a hero of mine, and I'll tell you why. He was a little boy in Enga province, and he just has worked his way up to where he owns this trucking company, but he's always interested in helping Papua New Guinea. So whenever we ask him, Jacob, will you be able to help us with getting the medical containers delivered, he's more than happy to do it. And so we'd really like to thank him and Mapai Transport and the work that they did there. And then once it arrived, you know, the team in Hela province and all the work that went onto that. So on our Facebook page, we list all the people, and you see that it's a group of people working together as a tribe. It's not just, you know, one group or one person. No, it's the way we do things in Papua New Guinea. It's community.
Well, sounds like you started a movement, and a movement that's going to be building into the future. And we look forward to seeing Senis in Pasin after December 9th. And I'm sure after it launches that time, we'll have you back in the studio to talk about the mobile theaters that will be going around the country. And I'm sure that people will want to see the film. And I'm sure that there will be change after they see the film. I haven't seen the film yet, but I really feel that there's going to be change. And that's something positive.
We're excited for you to see it. We're excited for Papua New Guinea to see it and to work together as a tribe to change this, because we believe it can change. And the message of the film is hope.
Hope is the message, and hope is what we're striving for. Gary, Michelle, PNG Tribal Foundation, thank you very much for being on Tok Piksa.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Neville.
Hello, talk back.
Yumi mustard logo wrong attitude. Lo yumi old man. Was old mamana.
Hollanda mapimi sim tribal diwai. All burgin me go lighting. Cooking me lo emiana about here. Orto use anguma.
Man true. A man where me respect him, Susa Bloen, Mama Bloen. A man where me respect him or Mary. Na walk Bloen lo how am by look out him all.
He crossed the zone. Go inside your house and simple snack, salad pimi.
Igupla lo tokimal story, igupla lo ultimal story. That's very important. But what Igupla like concentrate on and solutions.
I'm hope lo me also. Papa, one day we'll create a Garden of Eden for all the women.